I'd like to welcome to the show the directors of the documentary, The Antidote, John Hoffman and Kahane Cooperman. How are you today?
Great.
Very well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'll start off with you, John. What is your first memory of film?
My first memory of the film.
Of any film. Not this film. It could be any film.
Oh, my first memory. It's The Sound of Music. It's going to see The Sound of Music in my first giant screen of my life.
Oh, I love that. Kahani, same question to you.
I'm gonna go with the Poseidon Adventure, and it scared the heck out of me.
I like that a whole lot. Two different answers. I like it. Back to you, Kahani. What made you want to get into film?
Oh, well, it actually started. I had the great opportunity of having one of those great professors in college, and I actually took a theater class with him, studying drama, like plays. And up to that point, I'd only ever thought of like plays as words that come out of an actor's mouth that that somebody wrote. I never thought about anything else that goes into it. And this professor, talked about the lighting and the sound and where these people are on the stage and the costumes and everything. And it just sort of opened my world. And I started looking at film, which I loved deeply, differently, and realizing all these same kind of decisions are going into every frame of film that I'm looking at. So that's how I first kind of got incredibly excited by it. I'd watched films all my life, but when I started thinking about what goes into actually creating it and moving people emotionally, I was kind of hooked.
Sure. Same question to you, John?
Well, it started for me in an anthropology course. The last month I was in college, the only assignment for the course was to do a profile of somebody, and I made a film. I wanted to make a film about the shyest person I ever met. He was the husband of the cook in the restaurant that I was working in. And it was an utter failure because the more time I spent with him, he wasn't shy anymore. But I got hooked in making films. It was the very last month of school. I was a biochemistry major, and my life turned in that moment. And it was the best sort of college assignment I ever had, actually. So that's how it all started for me.
I like that. The Antidote is a feature documentary that weaves together stories of kindness, decency, and the power of community in America. It's about everyday people who make the intentional choice to lift others up, despite the fundamentally unkind ways of our society, which are at once facts of life in America and yet deeply anti-ethical to our founding ideals. What attracted you to this project? John, take it first.
Sorry. Starting about 3 years ago, I was really feeling that while there was such a growing amount of hate and division in this country, I wanted to know what were the forces that were keeping our communities good. That this growing hate and division, I just didn't want to believe that it was everywhere and pervasive through our communities. And so and I have a history of making films that are some would call solutions journalism. And I really felt while everybody is sort of looking and focusing on, and importantly, with great importance focusing on this rising hate and division, what happens if we look the other way at what are the forces that continue to make our communities good? And so I was really fortunate to be in a conversation with a large nonprofit that had funded some of my other work, and they had a real focus on kindness and decency. And I said to them, and the leader of this organization in the conversation, never expecting it to go this far, I said, would you ever consider doing a film about kindness? And he said, we should talk about that. And that led to us getting enough money to get this film started. And my incredible good fortune to get to work with Kahane.
Kahane, what attracted you to this project?
Well, similarly, in 2018, I just had this, pervasive feeling on a personal level that I didn't understand, and that was just that civility seemed to be crumbling around me, and I didn't recognize it, and I didn't understand it, and it hadn't really been my own experience growing up in this country. And so when I met with John, and he told me that he had, raised some initial funds, and that he had this one word, kindness, to be explored in a cinematic way, I just thought, wow, what an interesting time to look at that aspect of human nature, because I'm not understanding that right now. So it just seemed like a really, really great project to dive into.
So there's a quote in the film. I heard it. I had to stop the film. I rewound it just to listen to it again, and I wrote it down specifically because it was so moving. So Kahane, to you first. The value of a human life is the value of the human life, regardless of who you are. What does that quote mean to you?
So that is a really important quote in the film, and it comes from a woman whose kind of mission it is to welcome refugees to her town in Anchorage, Alaska. And the fact of the matter is, she's saying that in regards to the refugees who she settles, but really it can be applied to any one of the 9 stories that we weave throughout the Antidote and all the communities we go to, because I think really what it comes down to is a mutual respect, and to treat each other with dignity, and also on a very essential scale. It's kind of about the golden rule, right, which is pervasive throughout all of our religions. It's how you treat each other, and you want to treat people as you want to be treated, and that every life is valuable and is worthy, and that you have to look past differences and not fear them, and instead embrace them.
John, question to you. You guys, the obviously the main undertone of the film is love and equality. Why do you think the world is not accepting to the idea of different?
Well, it's interesting. When we were developing the film, we spent a lot of time talking to big thinkers from many different disciplines, whether that be philosophy, religion, political science. But some of the people that we talked to were evolutionary biologists. And there's a whole sort of area of thought about how sort of evolutionarily we grew up in small clans, and we knew very few other human beings. And the number of people stayed small for hundreds of thousands, millions of years. And so when you encountered someone from outside of your tribe, your clan, you by nature had to be wary of them. So I think that unfortunately there are too many people in the world today and for generations who have played on that aspect of human nature, that there's evolutionarily probably a reason to fear the unknown. And it's just not applicable in the world anymore, in the ways that we live, and the size of the communities we live in, and the tools we have to communicate and understand each other. but there are people who know that there is this aspect of human nature that can be sort of toyed with to their advantage. And I think that too many people today use a way of sort of wielding their power is to sort of prey on that, what you might call a human weakness.
When I watched this documentary, I wrote in my review that I felt like this documentary should be shown everywhere, in every school across the country, to every neighborhood. It's a very poignant documentary that showcases that we should love one another for who we are. Now, that's what I took away from it. Back to you, John. What do you want somebody to take away when they watch The Antidote?
Well, I just want to say, if they take away what you just said, I could not be happier. I mean, I think I speak for Kahane and myself right now when I say that those were beautiful words, and a real sort of compliment to us, to the film, and to all the people that you met in the film, if that's your takeaway. The only thing I could add to that is that another thing that we learned is that compassion is empathy with action, and I really feel that it's one thing for us to be empathetic to those in need, but what we really need to be is compassionate, and that means we have to act. And I hope that the film inspires people because of the people that they meet and the actions that they're taking, that they can look in their lives and they can see that there are small ways that they can, be involved in their communities to lift others up. And that's an expression that is very important to us, is this idea of lifting others up.
Kahane, same question to you.
Well, in addition to what John said, and I agree wholeheartedly with him, and thank you for your words about what you learned. One of our characters, his name is Diamond Hargis, and he is in he's based in Indianapolis, Indiana, and he's a community organizer and beyond. But he says a lot of incredible things that really stuck with me. And he says that storytelling is a philanthropic act. And I think that one of the things that, if I didn't learn it, it confirmed it for me. It's how important sharing our stories with each other is. That's the way we understand other people who aren't like us or who are outside of our safe, confines. Is to listen to, because everybody has these stories, and they're so important to understanding. And then what goes along with that too is to really be a good listener, to be able to listen and hear what these people are telling us and give them the opportunity to be heard. And I think that greater understanding and compassion will grow out of all of that if we work on those, skills. I think listening is a skill. And that's just a great takeaway I had from making the film.
First up, thank you guys so much for your time today. This has really kind of inspired me personally to find that local kind of organization or find the people around me that I could try to elevate and help as well. So thank you for making this type of story, and I hope that this is something you two continue to do moving forward.
Oh, thank you so much. If I could add one thing, since you're inspired to help in your own community, is that we have a website, which is theantidotemovie.com. And if you click on Get Involved, we have a partnership with volunteermatch.org. And if you click on that, you can just put in your zip code and essentially find out about all kinds of organizations in your community, wherever you are in the country, and see where it is you might want to lend a hand.
Perfect.
So it's right there. We try to make it easy.
Fantastic. That's amazing. I really do appreciate that as well. And I will definitely look into it after we get off the phone here. So again, thank you both for your time today.
Great.
And you guys have a wonderful day.